94.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
A good Thursday afternoon. Welcome in. Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez to my right. We have your early line. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp on the audio and video boards, respectively. Jam-packed show, as always. Mario, Thursday night football preview coming at you. Got some Major League Baseball playoffs to preview. Game 5 tonight between the Dodgers and the Giants. Tyler Moody will be along to break that down. Winner completes the next round of the MLB playoffs and advances to face the Braves in the NLCS. We have our underdog plays of the week as well. Start our 6-pack for the week, first of 2 pick segments. And, of course, plenty to get to with LSU's battle with Florida set for 11 a.m. on Saturday morning in Death Valley. How are you, Mario?
I'm well, Musso. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, another day, same old, not much different.
Yeah, not too much. I mean, I think a little bit less sad about the state of the LSU football program than I was for Monday's show. I think I've kind of accepted the way things are going to be, and I'm really interested with this line that's fluctuated a lot. And at the end of the day, still very excited to be in Tiger Stadium Saturday, Musso. I know this season has not gone the way many of us expect for LSU nor wanted it to, but I still value every game that they play. And there's still some questions to be asked about this team in terms of some guys and some maybe not position battles, but some guys that are stepping into some key roles that have not been there before. And I'm trying to look at the positives now, man. I'm starting to get excited for Saturday.
You mentioned the line, and there is, careful, excitement can be a dangerous thing. You mentioned the line, and there's been a lot of movement on it, but a lot of it, I feel like you can explain it fairly easily. So take you through the timeline of events here. Line opens Sunday at Florida -11, which, you know, on the surface, not too surprising. LSU had lost 2 games in a row and just gotten embarrassed on the road at Kentucky, and Florida's a top 20 team in the country coming in, and only 1 loss on the year. 2, actually, also Kentucky. By Monday, it was down to Florida 9.5. So there had been some early money come in on LSU Monday afternoon. Of course, Coach O announces the injury to Kayshon Boutte. We had kind of wondered how much of an impact that would have. He's a wide receiver. He's not a quarterback or anything like that, but he was your best offensive weapon. By Tuesday, after that announcement, the line was back up a whole point or more, depending on where you looked. Florida was sitting at -10.5. Eli Ricks, that injury announced Wednesday morning by Coach O. The line now sits here at 2 o'clock on Thursday at Florida -11.5 or even 12 in some places. When we had Rafael Esparza on with us on Tuesday, Mario, he mentioned that it would probably settle in around 11 or even that 10.5. But, I mean, look, these injuries, they haven't helped. We mentioned talking about Kayshon Boutte. He's not a quarterback, so it's not like Max Johnson's out where it would definitely impact the line. But when you keep adding all of these on top of each other, and of course just the overall, feel around the program, it makes a lot of sense as to why that line is now just steady started to climb in favor of the Florida Gators.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we'll see where it ends up, but I find it interesting that it's higher now after those 2 injuries than it was originally when this line opened. So not too much to say in defense, Musso, or at least in favor of the Tigers maybe covering the spread. Remember last year when they went to Gainesville and won? I think it was around like 22 or 23 points.
It was a large spread. At one point, it might have even been 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but I think it was.
It was a large spread. And it got me thinking back to 2017, too, because it's kind of funny that every time LSU, it seems like in the Coach O era, has been really like down, like really down. They've always kind of gotten right against Florida. That game, we talk about the game a couple years ago as well, or last year, I should say, when they go into the Swamp and beat the Gators. But with everybody missing, I don't know, man. I'm trying to see a path where LSU covers here. Going back to what I was saying a little bit just a minute ago, I'm trying to get excited about Sage Ryan playing. I am a little bit excited about Sage Ryan playing. LSU has not had good luck with 5 stars at all. We'll go into it in a little bit, but remember how hard LSU tried to recruit this guy, Musso? And I remember watching Josh Pate's show last year, 24/7 Sports, and I don't know where these rumors came from, but according to him, there were rumors that LSU was going so hard after Sage Ryan during his recruitment that it affected their preparation going into last year's Auburn game. and then he committed to LSU, I believe, the following Monday. So this is a guy that you and I were just talking about before the show, kind of played all over the place when he was in high school. LSU had planned to play him at nickel earlier on in the season. He's now playing there out of necessity due to all the injuries, but maybe he comes out in balls. LSU is going to need a couple of unexpected efforts if they're to win or even cover the spread.
They're going to need a lot of unexpected efforts. Coach O, to expand about what you're talking about here, last night on his radio show, did give an update on what that secondary might look like this Saturday to start. Of course, no Derek Stingley, no Elias Ricks, no Major Burns for a second week in a row. That's three of your three starters in your secondary and three of your best players on defense as a whole. This is what it might look like when the Tigers take the field Saturday morning.
Cordell Flott we moved him from nickel to corner, and Dwight McGotham's going to start at the other corner. And Cordell's an excellent corner. He's 6'2", about 175, got great footwork. And, I love him at corner. I love him at nickel. Sage Ryan is finally healthy, man, as he had 2 great weeks of practice. So we're going to play him at the nickel position. I think he's going to do very well.
So you'll have Cordell Flott, you'll have Dwight McGlothern. That's it could be worse. Let's be honest. It could be a lot worse for LSU at that position. Cordell Flott has just made leaps and bounds jumps here in his third year and has been one of the best cover corners in the Southeastern Conference so far through 6 games. Dwight McGlothern has been filling in ever since Derek Stingley Jr. went down with his injury, and hasn't done anything to warrant much criticism out there on the outside. So LSU, that's a spot where the Tigers had a good bit of depth. Now, you can't really afford anything else because once you get past those 2 guys at cornerback, you're in a little bit of trouble with Darren Evans and Darius Jones. But also the move for Sage Ryan to nickel is something I want to see. There's a lot of talk. I know Shea Dixon had said it on multiple different occasions on this radio station that Sage Ryan could have started for LSU at safety last year when he was still a senior in high school. So to see him finally hit to the field is going to be absolutely something to watch and something that many LSU fans can get excited about this weekend.
The next Stingley, but maybe he hopefully plays past one season substantially. Yeah, you got to be excited to watch Sage Ryan play. And players of his caliber move so. LSU's gotten a lot of them over the years, but really they're not playing on Saturday. I don't know how else to say it. Props to Preston Guy of TigerBait.com for releasing his tweet, and he points out that LSU from 2018 to 2020 signed 8 5-star players, and 0 of those players will be playing this weekend, and 0 have played throughout 3 full seasons at LSU. Those 8 players: Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Derek Stingley, John Emery, Marcel Brooks, Eric Gilbert, Keyshawn Butte, and Eli Ricks. I mean, you definitely got some value out of some of these guys, but when you go down that list and just think about all these guys that will not be in action for LSU and kind of what they've done throughout their careers, that's not the consistency you would want at all. And at a place like LSU, obviously you're going to get a lot of 5-stars, but that kind of speaks to just, I don't want to say just bad luck, but all the bad fortune that LSU has had in the last couple of years with the national championship mixed in.
Yeah, the case for each of those guys is different, though. I mean, Jamar, it was an opt-out, and there was some stuff, there as well that led to that opt-out. Terrace Marshall had some injuries, so that opt-out made a lot of sense, too, but he played a lot of ball for you last year. But, you look at the majority of those guys, they contributed to the national championship.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wouldn't say it was necessarily like a waste. Like, I wouldn't use that word. But there's definitely a little bit that was left to be desired, especially in the case of somebody like Marcel Brooks, who ended up transferring out. The change in the defensive scheme when Dave Aranda left, it just didn't really work out. Eric Gilbert, that situation has been well documented. And then, you have just the injuries to Butte and Rick. So I think each of those situations is different, and a lot of it kind of seems just like a little bit of bad luck. But it's frustrating because, as I started this whole explanation with, Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Derek Stingley Jr., John Emery Jr., half of those guys at least played at least a little bit of a role, some of them major roles like like Stingley, Marshall, and Chase in a national championship. So when you did have them on the field, you saw how special they were. That's why it's frustrating. That's why it hurts.
For sure. It's still a crazy stat. And Marcel Brooks is an interesting case. He only has 2 catches at TCU this year. He's playing on the other side of the football, by the way, as an offensive player. And I just thought that was a really crazy stat. What a weird couple of years it's been, man.
It's been it's been night and day, that's for sure.
To say the least. I mean, yeah, night and day, I guess, would be an apt description. But again, trying to get up for this game, Musso, but it's not looking very good at all. We went over the stats yesterday. Florida's still healthy among their defensive line, which is the strength of their team. They're near the top of the list when it comes to sacks amongst the conference, and LSU obviously towards the bottom with their offensive line. So on paper, this is not a good matchup at all for LSU, but I guess I would say if you want to look at one positive, at least Florida's strength on offense is running the ball, and they're not really going to sling it around all over the yard like other teams in the conference. So maybe the injuries in the secondary for LSU won't hurt as much, but again, trying to find some positives here and having a tough time.
I am interested to see if Florida does switch it up a little bit, then try to take advantage of that a little bit.
Maybe that would definitely be beneficial for what they're trying to do down the road.
I don't think they're gonna run the ball first and foremost, but I mean, they still average about 230 yards passing per game. They're really good in the play action game, as you might expect with their rushing attack. So I don't think you can just totally brush it away and be like, oh, I mean, they're a run heavy team, which they are, but man, they're going to attack weaknesses, and that's what Dan Mullen does best, is scheme and attack weaknesses, and that's a pretty big one for LSU. That's a big bullseye on the Tigers right now, is the injuries in the secondary.
100%, and Emory Jones has been a really good passer in spots, but I mean, I'm sure he's kind of looking for that one game to really do it through the air consistently, and this is a really good defense to do that against, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of Richardson as well. They love him down there in Gainesville. The freshman has been electric. Also in spots, he's had a couple of injury problems too, but I'm sure you'll see a lot of him as well, and got to watch out for Copeland, the wide receiver. Like I told you, I feel like he's been playing at Florida for many years. This is going to be a familiar opponent for the Tigers, but again, let's see if they can get it done. Line up to 11 in Tiger Stadium for an 11 a.m. game.
It is, and even 12 in some places. So, and it just steady climbs. We're going to keep you updated on that as the week continues. Grab our first break, come back, preview Thursday night football, Bucks at Eagles. Look at the biggest matchups in the game. Tell you which way we're leaning as well in terms of making a pick on that one. That's next on Early Line, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the Early Line. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall, where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Ryan Clark in studio. We'll have our Fantasy Blitz. We'll talk Saints with Mike Triplett. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Week 6 in the NFL kicking off tonight as the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers are visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. Kickoff for 7:15. You can catch that game at 8 p.m. here on ESPN Baton Rouge 104.5 right at the conclusion of Jimmy Ott's Game Time. Bucs are favored by 6.5 in this one, Musso. Over and under is at 52.5. After a 1-3 start, the Eagles got a big win on Sunday, helped the Saints out, upset the Carolina Panthers. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers continue to do what they do, crushing their opponents, crushing their dreams. Tom Brady actually got injured in the game against the Dolphins, Musso, but did not matter very much because after the injury to his thumb, Tom Brady still completes 15 out of 18 passes the rest of the game for 182 yards. And this is an Eagles defense that has played pretty good, but only against kind of subpar opponents. They had some success against the 49ers, a little bit in the second half last week against the Panthers, but it's gotten torched every time they played good offenses. They've given up 40-plus points to the Chiefs and the Cowboys in their losses, and Tampa Bay definitely qualifies as an explosive offense. So I got to say I like the Bucs in this one. I could see the Eagles keep it close in the first half, but eventually I think that aerial attack of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, combined with what Leonard Fournette is doing, is going to be just a little bit too much for an upstart Philly team.
Leonard Fournette's had a really, really solid year so far for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He has become the go-to threat out of their backfield, and not just in the running game, but also in the receiving game. So, I mean, it has been a really solid start for Leonard through the first 5 games of the season. You mentioned Tom Brady, the thumb. Yeah, I mean, look, wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, the guy is he's the greatest of all time for a lot of reasons. Number one is obviously the longevity he's played with, but he's 44 years old. He hurt his thumb in the middle of that game. He still threw for 411 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He's good to go this week. Expect a nice night from Tom Brady. It is interesting. The Eagles, 2-0 against the NFC South so far this year. They're 2 wins on the year. The Atlanta Falcons, who are awful, and the Carolina Panthers, who hit a little bit of a skid here lately. But it's been an interesting year for the Eagles. They've been a bit of a tough team to figure out because, as you said, their defense has been very good, but when they've played explosive offenses, it hasn't been great. But offensively, Jalen Hurts has been maybe even more of a struggle to figure out. He's had his good days, he's had his bad days. The passing numbers are up for the Eagles, 273 yards per game for Philly, which I don't really think many people thought that would be the case coming in to this season, knowing Jalen Hurts would be the starting quarterback, but he has improved in that facet of the game so far this season. Improved. He's not great. Again, it's not like he's going out there and he's Tom Brady or anything, right? But 273 is definitely more than I think many expected. As far as a betting trend for this game, Thursday night games tend to be pretty close throughout the whole way. This line is better than a touchdown everywhere. 6.5, DraftKings, it's at 7, at Caesars, it's just around. It's better than a touchdown everywhere, and you get why. I just saw from DraftKings that it is the Buccaneers are a public darling right now. 93% of money line bets public at DraftKings are on the Bucs. 90% of the spread bets are on the Bucs. I don't like going more than a touchdown on Thursday night. Not 6.5, not 7. I think the Eagles can cover that tonight. I really do. Short week. Give me the Eagles tonight if I have to make a spread pick.
All right, might feel better about the Eagles now based on your track record with underdogs recently, but we'll see. Should be a good game, man. And a thought on Jalen Hurts, as I told you before the show, I'm still kind of trying to put a finger on whether he's good or not. I feel like I do not know because it's been an interesting journey of kind of the teams that I root for against Jalen Hurts. I remember back in 2016, his freshman year at Alabama, thinking, this guy's made some plays. But yeah, I think coming into Tiger Stadium, this LSU defense is going to have some success. And what happened? They dominated him. But unfortunately, LSU was shut out in that game, and they still go on to lose the game. 2019, he's quarterback in Oklahoma. He's a Heisman semifinalist, but I had a lot of confidence that facing the LSU defense on that stage was unlike anything he'd seen before playing in the Big 12. LSU dominated him. So last season, they're facing the Saints. I'm thinking, okay, he's done some okay things as a young NFL player, but against this defense, Trey Hendrickson, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, he does not stand a chance. And what did he do? He balled. And he's had some of those performances as an NFL player. And talking to some Eagles fans and just kind of reading some stuff online, a lot of people are really frustrated with the play calling for Jalen Hurts. They seem like they need to get him out of the pocket a little bit more, kind of build to his strengths. But in terms of fantasy football, Musso, as we get to our fantasy football thought of the day, he's been really productive. And there was a lot of kind of discourse and debate around the fantasy value of Jalen Hurts because some people, like Kay Adams, were really high on him. He's going to be a top 10, possibly top 5 fantasy. Other people, like our good friend Ben Mintz, said he's really overrated. He's not going to do anything. But in standard leagues, and this is according to the Yahoo Fantasy Football forecast, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the NFL with the top 12 fantasy finish every season, or every game, excuse me. So he's been productive from a fantasy standpoint. It seems like the team kind of he's a good leader, at least for the offense, but we'll see if he can get any kind of consistency to it, and we'll see if he can do it against a really good team, although Tampa Bay's defense is just a little bit banged up in the secondary.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about tailoring the offense a little bit more to Jalen Hurts. And obviously when anyone talks about a specific team tailoring to their quarterback, the first team you're going to bring up right now is the Baltimore Ravens because they've done the best job at it. The last team you're going to bring up is the Chicago Bears. But anyway, I guess you're right. They could tailor to it a little bit more. Maybe they are trying to get him to be too much of a pocket passer when you know what you have in him in the running game. But I think also what you're seeing is them trying to stretch him out for longevity. If that is your franchise quarterback, you can't just move him around that much. I mean, Lamar Jackson so far has had really remarkable health for the amount of hits that he takes. But you look at somebody like Cam Newton, on the other hand, where it was attempted to be tailored around him in Carolina to his running ability, and Cam's had major problems staying healthy, and that's impacted his game, and he's not on a team anymore. So I think there's a fine line there maybe with tailoring the offense to him, but what they're doing now, at least from a fantasy perspective, working really well. And it's not honestly working too terribly from a win-loss perspective. They're 2-3.
Yeah. They're right there, especially in the NFC East. I mean, I know the Cowboys are killing it right now, but from a win-loss standpoint, they've kind of beaten the teams that they've needed to beat. They got a big win over Carolina, and they're at home tonight, so maybe they're feeling a little frisky going into this one. But on the other side, from a fantasy point of view, as you said, playoff Lenny seems like he might be here to stay, at least in the stat sheet, because Leonard Fournette right now owns the Tampa Bay backfield. It is his backfield after it was not for the longest time. I was really frustrated with Bruce Arians, not going to lie to you, Musso, but he seems to finally be handing the reins over to our guy Leonard. He's seen a 35% touch share in the last 2 weeks. He scored 38 fantasy points. That touch share on the season, by the way. So he's dominating the backfield handoffs and touches. And as Musso said, he's doing really good in the passing game as well, because against the Patriots 2 weeks ago, he goes off rushing 92 yards on 20 carries, but he also catches 3 passes on 5 targets for another 43 yards. And then after that, he has a really good performance against the banged-up Miami Dolphins team, 12 carries for 67 rushing yards, then gets another 5 targets, catches 4 of them for 43 yards, and he finally scores his first touchdown of the year. as I told you before the show, Musso, as a Saints and LSU fan, it kind of hurts to see Leonard Fournette and Devin White both dominating the way that they are, and both of those guys are not getting their due credit right now, but they are playing really well, and they deserve a lot of praise.
And the receiving game for Leonard, that really wasn't something that was always part of his game. I mean, obviously it wasn't at LSU because when Leonard was here, LSU didn't throw to the running backs, but even with the Jaguars, they didn't really try to get him the ball in the passing game very much out of the backfield. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers have done that, and Leonard has really adapted that aspect into his skill set, and it's showing. I mean, it's just paying big dividends, and it sucks because he's doing it with the Bucs and he's in the Saints division, and you have to face that guy twice a year. But I mean, look, Leonard's had a bit of an up and down career in the NFL, so it is good as a former LSU guy, as a New Orleans guy. It's good to see him having success.
As I said, looks like playoff Lenny is here to stay. Buccaneers at the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. Tampa Bay favored by 6.5 in this one. 7 in other sports books, kind of fluctuating, but usually 6.5 or 7 points on the spread. Over and under set at 52.5. Musso likes the Eagles. I like the Buccaneers to cover the spread. We will see 7:15 kickoff. You can catch that game 8 o'clock here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge at the conclusion of Jimmy Ott's Game Time. As for us, we'll break, come back, and let the dogs out. Give you our underdog picks of the week in both college football and the NFL. You're listening to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 104.5ESPN.com.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, We are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's week 7 in the prep football season, and we get you started Friday night with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. And then starting at 10 o'clock, it's a full 2 hours of the Lake Urgent Care Lake After Hours Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, CST, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tyler Moody will join the show in about 15 minutes or so. Game 5 tonight in Major League Baseball between the Dodgers and the Giants, winner to the NLCS. Right now, Mario, we begin our first of 2 pick segments this week. Start the 6-pack. Underdog plays of the week, 1 from college, 1 from the NFL. So far, I sit at 11-1 on these underdog picks, coming off another 2-0 week last week.
You saw that, Taylor, and Casey. He had to clarify that I am 11-1.
I wanted to make sure it got across.
I'm messing.
I wanted to make sure everybody heard it.
I'm messing. I'm 5-7. A little bit of a cold streak, but 5-7 on the year. Looking to bounce back.
And without further ado, our underdog plays of the week. Starting college football, starting Waco, Texas, where we find a matchup of 5-1 teams. The BYU Cougars ranked number 19 in the country, catching 6.5 points at Baylor. BYU coming off a rough first loss of the season, but the Cougars are a tough underdog, man. Already winning outright twice this year as a dog versus Power 5 opponents against Utah and Arizona State. BYU also 23-9 against the spread in their last 32 games as a road underdog. Baylor, on the other hand, coming off a dominant win over West Virginia, was on the Bears last week for that one, and it was really just never in doubt. The key to this one for BYU, they cannot turn the ball over. Last week, the Cougars were +8 in turnover margin going into their game versus Boise State, and then they turned it over 4 times. Was that a one-off or the start of a trend? That's the question. Baylor is not going to turn the ball over. Starting quarterback Gary Bohannon has not thrown an interception all year, and the Bears have only lost 4 fumbles on the season. They've forced 10 turnovers on the other hand. So BYU cannot turn the ball over. And if they don't, on offense, you will see a solid quarterback in Jaron Hall coming off a 300-yard game and a very physical running game. Another reason I like BYU, their defense is built to keep them in games. It's bend but don't break. It's kept them in every single game that they've been in, even despite the 4 turnovers last week. Both teams pretty evenly matched. Both are battle-tested, and you could even argue that BYU is a little bit more battle-tested with their games against Utah and Arizona State. Been a lot of cupcakes early for Baylor. The win against Iowa State, still probably their best win, and it doesn't really look great as Iowa State looks to be more of a fraud. Baylor probably gets it done at home outright, but I like BYU, the Cougars, to cover the 6.5 points.
Kalani Sitake, LSU coach, question mark?
No.
I'm just messing. JK. My first college underdog play of the week will be, my only college underdog play of the week will be the Oklahoma State Cowboys, +5.5 at the Texas Longhorns. And Musso, as you know, that second half of the Texas-Oklahoma game was a mess. Texas choked. They gave that game away, but they're still 5.5-point favorites against the Cowboys. However, Oklahoma State is 5-1 against Texas in Austin, the last 6 games in Austin. And the the Cowboys had a bye week last week as well. They are off, and they're going to be playing a very tired Texas team, especially on defense. The Longhorns were out there for a whole lot of snaps, and at 5-0, only Wake Forest right now has a lower ranking among undefeated teams from major conferences. And before their bye, Oklahoma State scored some really nice wins. They beat both Kansas State and Baylor by double digits at home, and Kansas State at the time was playing really well, and Baylor has also had a pretty good season. So those are some good wins after I kind of thought Oklahoma State was not as good. I picked against them in the past, but I'm kind of becoming a believer in the Cowboys, Musso, and this is a very unconventional Oklahoma State team because the strength of their team is their defense. They allow 18.5 points per game and just 305 yards per contest. That makes them a top 25 defense in the nation, and they're also one of the best groups on third down. Opponents convert only 29.7% of the time against Oklahoma State, and watch out for Malcolm Rodriguez. He is the Big 12's leading tackler, and he's kind of that alpha dog, that leader on defense that Texas seems to be lacking. And we know about the Longhorns, very explosive on offense with Casey Thompson and with Bijan Robinson, but very vulnerable on defense. They give up 439 total yards per game, which is second to last in the Big 12, only behind Kansas. That was also a brutal loss last week. They were out there for a lot of snaps on defense in the second half and in overtime, and that's going to be very advantageous for an underrated Oklahoma State team that's coming off of a bye week. Oklahoma State has not beaten Texas in 2 years, but I think Oklahoma State, frankly, has a lot more to play for as a Big 12 contender, and I think this game has some upset potential here. I think Texas still wins the game, but I think Oklahoma State at least keeps it within a field goal and covers this 5-point spread.
To the NFL, where pretty interesting underdog slate this week in the National Football League, and really what's been the year of the underdog so far in the NFL. We're going to Cleveland, though, where you find the Arizona Cardinals, the NFL's lone remaining undefeated team, and the Browns coming off a loss in an offensive shootout versus the Chargers. Cardinals catching 3 points on the road. Now, the first thing you need to look at in this matchup right now is the injury report, because it's pretty ugly for both teams. We do not have the latest report out, so it could improve. But as of yesterday, the Cardinals were missing two starting offensive linemen, and DeAndre Hopkins, as a starter, did not practice. Two backup inside linebackers and a backup cornerback as well did not practice, and starting cornerback Byron Murphy did not practice. You look at the Cleveland Browns, and you're missing Nick Chubb, Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett, Kareem Hunt, all did not practice. Obviously, when you look at this game on the surface, you think more points, right? But hey, if the Browns end up without Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, which I can't imagine both of those guys don't play, that's really the only arrow in their quiver, right? That's the run NFL's best rushing offense. Even if it is just an offensive shootout, what team do you like to get the stop? I lean Cardinals on that one. Outside of the game versus Minnesota, Arizona has only given up 20 points once this season, and that was to the Rams. They're pretty good. The Browns unit has given up 20 points, 20 or more points 3 times in their first 5 games, and we all saw the scrutiny they were under after the game against the Chargers. Keep an eye on that injury report. Arizona also, to note, 4-1 against the spread this season. I like the Cardinals +3 on the road versus Cleveland.
Even before I saw the injury report, I was still a little surprised to see the Cardinals as a dog in this one with the way they've been playing. And as you know, I have a lot of questions about kind of Cliff Kingsbury's abilities as an NFL head coach. But with all the veteran leadership they have on that team, man, between A.J. Green and J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins, has to make you feel better going forward if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan. And for my last underdog play of the week, Musso, on today's episode of Is This Texans Line Too Big This Week, Houston +10 at the Indianapolis Colts. And at the end of the day, Musso, this is a division matchup between two teams with an identical 1-4 record. And the Texans showed a lot of moxie last week after they were blown out badly by the Buffalo Bills 40-0 the prior week. And more importantly, it was the debut of, or I shouldn't say the debut, it was a coming out party for Davis Mills, and he played really well in that game. And after their offense was struggling, scoring 2 total touchdowns in his first 10 quarters of play, Davis Mills threw for 3 touchdowns and finished with 312 passing yards in a loss to the Patriots that frankly could have been a win. Some really bad play calling by David Culley down the stretch there. But Houston has been really good against the spread this year, 3-2 winning record. They did not cover that 16-point spread against the Bills, but they covered a 13-point spread against the Cleveland Browns, also a 9.5-point spread against the Patriots last week. And the Texans have not been great, Musso, but I think watching them, they're a lot better of a football team than a lot of people expect them to be. And speaking of veteran leadership, this is just kind of an interesting stat that I wanted to share. Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, the three running backs, all healthy right now, by the way, for the Texans, have a total of 15,436 yards rushing in their career. That is by far the most out of any other NFL backfield combined. More than 6,000 yards more than any other team's active backfield. And veteran leadership is always good on a team like this. It's going to keep some of these games a little bit closer. The Colts are also on a short week. They're also coming off a really rough loss where they blew that lead at the end on Monday Night Football to the Baltimore Ravens. And it's going to be hard to turn around to not just win this game, but to blow the Texans out in a divisional game with this 10-point spread. And as I said, both of these teams 1-4 at the end of the day. The Colts will probably win, but this line doesn't make any sense to me, and I like Houston to at least cover in this divisional game.
So to recap our picks so far, underdog plays of the week for me in college, BYU plus 6.5 at Baylor, and the Arizona Cardinals plus 3 at the Cleveland Browns.
And I like Oklahoma State plus 5.5 at the Texas Longhorns, and I like the Houston Texans plus 10 on the road against the Indianapolis Colts.
That's the underdog plays of the week. We'll complete the six-pack tomorrow. 4 more plays, 2 from college, 2 from the NFL. Do that at 2:30 tomorrow. Next, Tyler Moody joins the show. Game 5 of the NLDS, Giants-Dodgers. Who does he like? We'll talk a little bit about the ALCS as well, and just kind of preview a little bit more into the MLB playoffs as October rages on. Stick around. Early Line continues next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner. And
on Fridays off the bench, the boys are live from walk-ons, kicking off what promises to be a fun weekend of drinking and eating, if not football, and a brand new D-Generation Dome. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Playoffs roll on in Major League Baseball after no games last night. Game 5 of the National League Division Series as the Dodgers are 1.5-run favorites at the San Francisco Giants. Over-under in that game set at 7 runs. Joining us now to break it all down is Tyler Moody of the Demon Sports Network. Tyler, thanks for your time as always. How are you?
Things are pretty good up here in Shreveport today, guys. I can't complain whatsoever.
Hey, man, same. We're doing well down here.
Yes, the vibes are good right here, and the vibes are going to be good in San Francisco tonight, I imagine. Big game, winner-take-all, Game 5 of the NLDS. Corey Nebel, I think that's how you pronounce his name, will take the bump for the Dodgers.
I heard it said Nebel and Knable as well, yeah.
Nebel. Corey, K, we'll call him, getting the start for the Dodgers after a random change earlier this afternoon, replacing Julio Urias. The Giants will be sending Logan Webb as their starting pitcher. Any thoughts on the matchup, Tyler, and maybe any other plays you would make?
Just some really big a chess move here from the Dodgers, going with Knable to get the start in this game. So what you've seen with the Giants in the past is they really stack their lineup with right-handed hitters whenever they have a lefty on the hill. So what the Dodgers have elected to do, and I like this, is they're going with the right-handers to open up the game in hopes that one of two things happens, right? Either the Giants go ahead and set their lineup for the left-hander Julio Urias, and if that's the case, then you're going to have a righty that can match them for the first 2 innings and hopefully roll through them. So I like what the Dodgers have done here. They put themselves in a position to force the Giants to do something different. And if the Giants don't do something different, they should have plus matchups for the first part of the game with the righty versus righty matchups on the hill. So I like what the Dodgers have done here. And because of that, I'm going to take the under for the first 5. It's set at 3.5 runs. I'm going under 3.5 for the first 5 innings of this game. And on the flip side for the Giants, Logan Webb was flat out incredible in Game 1. 5 hits against him, 10 strikeouts over 7+ scoreless innings. I believe he will be good in this game again, but ultimately I think the Dodgers lineup's going to be a little bit too much. So I'm taking Dodgers under. I'm taking under 3.5 runs the first 5 innings. And I think you're going to see some late runs in this game as the Dodgers offense wakes up around maybe inning 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And ultimately the Dodgers get it done. I'm taking the Dodgers money line at -107.
So are you expecting Knable to just be an opener tonight then, not go deep?
Essentially, yeah, he's not going to go past 2 innings. I think you get him. He can go give you 2, though, right? I think the best case scenario for the Dodgers is that the Giants do stack that right-handed lineup like they're preparing for Julio, and then you get Knable to face them for 6, 7 hitters, and he has a successful first 2 innings. And then you flip it over and you go with your original starter, and then you're going to get the matchups you expected. But look, Julio pitched out of the bullpen in the past. It's nothing new for him. That's not going to throw him off whatsoever, I don't think. He was actually great out of the bullpen for the Dodgers last season. So I think that the way Dave Roberts is doing this is it's a good play. We'll find out if it's the correct play, but I like what they're doing. I think it has some real upside here, and it could be the winning move for the Dodgers.
So, obviously, the winner of that series will move on to the NLCS, face the Braves. We already know the matchup set in the American League, the Astros and the Red Sox. Rumors abound, nothing really confirmed yet from Houston, but rumors abound that the Astros could be without Lance McCullers, their ace for the ALCS. Just kind of describe the impact that would have on that series.
I was reading about that earlier. Yeah, it's the forearm for him. He's got some tightness and stuff going on there, and he's a guy that's had Tommy John in the past. You know, McCullers has been in and out of the lineup for the last few seasons. The fact that the Astros were getting that McCullers still at this point in his career, like the good one, was a great boost for them. And now for them to lose their best pitcher over the course of the last 2+ months, it would be a really big blow to the Astros because they don't have a guy that they can turn to in game 1 or game 2 for that matter and be like, hey, we know what we're getting. We know for sure this dude's going to get us a W because Justin Verlander's not there. He's out as well. Greinke's barely healthy. I don't know how much he's going to pitch moving forward. So the Astros starting rotation has been beat up throughout the course of this year, and the McCullers, who has definitely been their best pitcher, is suddenly questionable.
I did see that.
Yeah, and to go on with my point, I guess I should say, it'll be a really, really big impact. The Red Sox swing the bat very well, and it will be bad news for the Astros, no doubt.
I know I saw earlier that the Astros are going with Valdez in game number 1 and Garcia in number 2. So that'll be the matchup that the Red Sox will be looking to exploit. Before we let you go, Tyler, I do want to look back. So we mentioned the Braves have advanced to the NLCS. Any reaction from that series, the Braves getting it done versus the Brewers? Brewers were a hot pick coming into these playoffs, it felt like.
The Brewers were a hot pick, and it's all because they had such elite pitching, but their lineup has been average throughout the entirety of the year. They had some moments where you're like, okay, that's a decent Brewers lineup, but you always worried when the postseason came around if they were going to be able to do enough, and it's exactly what you saw. Game 1, they scored 2 runs. They get shut out, in game 2, and they get shut out in game 3. And they finally score 4 runs in the last game, but it's too late at that point, So the Brewers lineup was just not good enough. And I actually think the biggest mistake of that series for the Brewers was not running Corbin Burnes out there. I know it would have been on 4 days rest. I don't care, man. Your season is on the line. You're a team and a franchise that has not had much success in the postseason. This is one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball on certain days. And I want him out there on the hill. I want to put everything on the line with him. I thought that was the single biggest mistake made this postseason by any team thus far.
No, I agree with you because Corbin Burnes has been a Cy Young candidate in the NL this year, and that's 1 day short rest. I mean, you pitch every 5 days in the major. That's 1 day short rest. That was a head scratcher. That was a head scratcher.
Look, I get that he's young and you want to protect his arm and everything, but if I'm Corbin Burnes, I'm fighting everyone in the locker room. That's my ball. It's just my game. And then that would have given them a chance to start Woodruff coming back in game 5, and then maybe you win that series, So it's tough. We don't know what the conversation was in the background. We don't know how his arm was feeling. I don't personally. I haven't read enough to see if there was some kind of hold up with him. But on the surface, it looks like a move where they were trying to manage a young pitcher's arm, and instead they should have just put the franchise on his back.
Dodgers money line at -107. Tyler also likes under 3.5 runs in the first 5 innings tonight in Game 5 of the NLDS between the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. Tyler, thanks for your time as always. Have a great night of baseball.
All right, boys, you as well.
Of watching baseball. Tyler is not playing baseball, although I'm sure he did play baseball back in the day.
Of course.
In Shreveport. We got a minute left in the show, Musso. Bad news surrounding the New Orleans Pelicans. Apparently, Zion Williamson was reevaluated today, was cleared to start running yesterday, but is still not allowed to do any physical activities against other players, and he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks' time.
The New Orleans Pelicans have not even started their season, and I'm already exhausted.
Flock up, baby.
I am already exhausted.
Trey Murphy. Nikhil Alexander-Walker. 19 threes in 2 games, 2 preseason games, Musso. 19 threes between 2 players.
Yeah, your franchise player is not going to start the season. So
it is not looking good for the New Orleans Pelicans, but as Musso said, the season has not even started yet. So let's see what happens, but not good news for the Pelicans. LSU has not had a good week of news, and the Saints are on a bye this week, so it's going to be hard to get any bad news over there. But tomorrow will be a happier show. We'll make the rest of our weekend picks going into the NFL weekend and the college football weekend. Don't miss it. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. For For now, AFR is next here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.